fat number of old articles about Diana have been resurfacing, and what is relevant about this is that they are not flattering at all. And as usual, one has to wonder who benefits from this narrative popping out, and the answer might be quite shocking this time. Welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and it would be great if you join us by just liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that bell. Let's get down to it. Diana, Princess of Wales, is a delicate topic. She's a personality that achieved legendary status, and one of the reasons is her tragic demise. Way too soon. And at the same time, that's one of the reasons talking about her is so difficult sometimes, because a person that is no longer here cannot defend herself. So a lot of what happened with their life back then is subject to speculation. And speculation can go both ways. It could be really good or really bad, depending on the optics. And articles like this one on the Daily Mail can be really hard to digest, especially because Diana cannot contest those allegations. I am not gonna repeat the content of the article here, but all that I can say is that it portrays a mentally unstable person, quite literally from the moment she got engaged with Charles. Again, most of this is allegedly, but I would love to think that this kind of words, allegedly, actually means something in the psyche of the public when in fact they don't. And the problem with figures that achieve legendary status like Diana is that they are ripe for any kind of versions or novelizations of their story. This is important to grasp. A novelization is when you grab a real life story and then adapt it for a series or a show or a movie or a book. You can claim that it's based on real events, but as an author, there's some leeway that you can have to tell the story in a more engaging manner. And by engaging, it must be in a way that appeals to general audiences. Again, this can be for good or for bad. Maybe you remember Will Smith as Chris Gardner in The Pursuit of Happiness. That was loosely based on a real-life story. But the Chris Gardner you saw on screen was much more vanilla than the real deal. Let's just say that the actual person was much more complex in terms of ethics. Sometimes the appeal is made by changing the public's perception of certain real-life person, like Tarantino's interpretation of Bruce Lee in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Lee was portrayed as arrogant and cocky, which deviates of our usual perception of him at that age. Now, what about Diana? In terms of novelizations, I think no other show in the last 10 years has had the impact of Netflix's The Crown. The problem is, again, that this is an extremely loose interpretation that even includes supposed intimate conversations that most probably didn't happen. Those fictional dialogues and interactions are crafted by the writers to flesh out the characters as how the audience already thinks of them. And this is common when you are creating any kind of historic biopic. Most people, the general audiences, are not that interested on you being absolutely precise and truthful in your research. So the writers just fill in the gaps with fictional dialogues and interactions that could be enticing to the public. Now you see the main problem. The vast majority of the people that watches shows like The Crown take them at face value. Because, precisely, you're watching a show not to verify if what you're seeing actually happened or is absolutely loyal to official records. You're watching a show just for entertainment. I don't have hard numbers, but I'm pretty sure that more than 90% of the viewers of The Crown really think that what they are watching actually happened, word by word. Even if you ask them, do you understand that this is a novelization, right? That a good chunk of these conversations might never have happened? Are you aware of that? And they will answer, of course I know that. But it's a normal impulse to just relax and assume that what you're watching is what actually happened. I just want to make a point about the power that a semi-fictional show has over public opinion and public perception of Diana and the royal family. It's much more relevant when you present the information as a supposedly well-researched article, because it will have even more weight in the perception of people. Now, the question is, who could benefit of swaying public perception of Diana by making articles like this one from 2014 to resurface? It's a literal smear campaign. Who could benefit from this? And the first impulse you could have is to think about any nemesis, any figure that would be the opposite of Diana. And I know that as I say these words, you instantly thought of Camilla. After all, she was part of the marriage of three that Diana mentioned in the Martin Bashir interview. And it will be a real coincidence that these articles are resurfacing around the same day that the Queen requested that Camilla should be acknowledged as Queen Consort when Charles becomes king. So at first sight, one could think that it was Buckingham Palace that is pushing these articles, demeaning Diana, so by contrast they can present Camilla as more deserving of the title. This is a classic strategy on political campaigns. For example, you smear the other candidate, the opponent, so your candidate is seen as more virtuous. But there is a big problem with the Buckingham Palace theory, and it's Prince William. William is more and more involved in high-level decisions alongside the Queen and Charles, and there is absolutely no way he could have allowed for any kind of smear campaign on his own mother. He's been vocal against The Crown, against the Martin Bashir interview, against the Diana musical, and let's say he's not happy about the movie Spencer either. And it's reported that he was okay with the Queen Consort title going to Camilla. And let's be honest, the Diana that appeared on that Martin Bashir interview spoke like she only cared about her sons to be happy and her ex-husband to be a good king. I think that if she was alive today, she couldn't care less about Camilla getting that title. So did those articles just resurface spontaneously by some kind of algorithmical caprice in social media channels? Highly unlikely. But there has to be someone that benefits from Diana being perceived as unstable. And in fact, this very article has another protagonist in it. Shocking new details of the poison that scarred Harry's childhood by a top royal biographer. There's two things in here. First, it almost doesn't mention William, it focuses on Harry. Also, it establishes authority by claiming that this is from a top royal biographer. According to this article, Harry is broken because his mother was broken, both emotionally and mentally unstable. I mean, this is borderline bad taste. But what's more concerning is that this somehow tries to explain any kind of erratic behavior from Harry. So nobody can argue with the fact that articles like this only benefit and feed the victimhood narrative that Harry has been pushing for many years and especially in 2021. But Diana being emotionally unstable is not something that is perceived in isolation. There's always the catalyst belief that the royal family did this to her. I'm sure William would disagree on many of those supposed recollections of his grandmother being the perpetrator of an evil scheme. And what a coincidence that one of the strongest sources in recent times of those perceptions of the royal family's influence on Diana is The Crown. Straight from Netflix, the ones that still have a contract with Harry to produce content, so he still answers to them and he has allowed them to do whatever they please with his mother's image. So if he allows for Diana's story to be told by any company with enough money to produce an entire show around the life of the royals without protesting any portrayal of his own mother, what do you think is his stance about these articles that smear her memory and at the same time give him a morbid free pass? And he will also benefit from the public thinking that it's Buckingham Palace pushing these articles, because most probably that's the kind of narrative he's planning to put out on his victim memoirs. I'm just going to leave you with a quote that always works. Follow the money. It will usually lead you to the answers you seek. If you want to refine your observation skills, all you have to do is download my 100 body language tips right in the description of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas and it will always be a pleasure, my body language buddies. Much love and bless.